Okay, had a few second hold
And
there.
the clock is rolling once again.
30 on the
Now
eighth
T-minus 30
test flight of
seconds till the
Starship. Let's see
liftoff
how
of
this
the
goes.
8th flight of Starship.
Our flight director, Joe Schleicher, today is go for launch. Let's listen in as he takes us through the final seconds of the count.
15, 14, 10, 9,
T-minus 8,
7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, go steady your system. Ignition. We have liftoff.
we got liftoff.
There it goes.
Beautiful pitching down range.
It's already taking a bit of a slide to get out from directly on the launch pad. Let's see how this plays out.
Booster energy pressure nominal.
So looking good so far.
All right, we're a little over 40 seconds into the flight. We are seeing 33 out of 33 Raptor engines ignited. Boosters pushing us downrange over the Gulf. Next milestone coming up in just under 10 seconds is going to be max Q, that max aerodynamic pressure.
Max Q.
There we go.
All right, so we're through max Q. That's the heaviest stresses it's kind of seeing on the way up. Wow, that was pretty incredible.
I'm still recovering.
They are going to
That was amazing.
Some Starlink
Beautiful views
simulators,
of
so
the
we'll see how that
vehicle on
goes.
ascent,
You can actually see the slot
pitching
there. Those will be
downrange
deployed
away
out of.
from the launch tower.
Next thing coming up is hot staging. So we're going to look for 6 engines to ignite on ship while we're still attached to the top of the booster. We'll see all but those 3 center engines shut down on booster.
We're hearing the initial call that we are go for booster catch back here at the launch tower.
It will definitely be an interesting sight.
Coming up now on hot staging, the ship's engines will ignite while still attached to the Super Heavy booster, and also while Super Heavy booster will still be under power itself.
Let's see the pitching.
The clamps holding the 2 stages together are going to release, and Starship second stage engines will
Booster engine
ignite.
cut off.
There we go.
Ship engine startup.
So, and you can see the separation there.
Stage separation.
Okay, we've got 2 engines not realized.
Boost back burn startup.
You could actually
There we
see
go.
it briefly.
Ship engines, all 6 Raptors ignited. We're doing that boost back burn. Looks like we got 11 of the 13 that we command for that, so that's going to start sending the booster back. We are still go for booster return, even with 2 Raptors out during that boost back. We can do a full duration one. But looks like we got a ship, 6 engines heading into space. And then we got a booster hopefully on our way back to Starbase. How's everything going in Hawthorne, Chris?
Everything is looking good. The crowd eagerly followed that ascent and now watching the booster coming back. So as you can see on the left-hand side of your screen here, that is ship continuing. And that's a great view of ship continuing on its way to space. They're looking, that's inside the camera, inside the aft skirt, looking at the Raptor vacuum and the sea level engines, the sea level ones there in the center of your screen under our T+ clock. You can see our boost back burn. We're down to 3 engines on the boost back burn. And you can see ship on the right-hand side of that telemetry with 6 engines lit, continuing its ascent to orbit, already over 100 kilometers in altitude. The booster 87 kilometers in altitude and continuing its trek right now back to the landing site and catch site. There's a shutdown. And we just heard a good call out for boost back shutdown. The next thing we should see on our screen is the separation of the hot stage from the Super Heavy booster. We jettisoned that because we do not need it for the landing, but on future iterations of the Super Heavy, that hot stage ring will be incorporated into the booster and we will get it back. But for today, you can see it on the right-hand side of your screen there, just separating off of from the right-hand side of the booster. You can also see the booster doing its liquid oxygen dump there, which is exactly what we would expect for it to do as the booster gets itself configured for the landing here. Now, meanwhile, Starship will continue to coast after it reaches orbit for about 40 minutes or so up to an altitude of 214 kilometers, but it's still got a ways to go there, currently accelerating past 7,500 kilometers per hour there in velocity. And just look at those great views of the booster coming back. The Gulf coastline there just looks absolutely gorgeous.
Starship is on a nominal trajectory.
And there we hear nominal trajectories all around. And Dan and Kate, we're at 5 minutes, 15 seconds here into the flight. Everything looking good for the Super Heavy and for Starship today. What's it like there at Starbase as we get ready to catch?
It was incredible, Chris, to be able to see the mock diamonds with my own eyes. That was amazing. We are standing by for return of booster back to the launch tower. We have heard that we are go for the catch of the booster.
Yeah, this coming from one of our long-range tracking cameras, we're able to see the hot stage separate and fly away. So coming up in just about 30 seconds, we're going to look for the landing burn. We're going to command those 13 inner and middle ring engines to turn on. 13 initially, they bleed off all of that velocity as we're slowing down from supersonic speeds, eventually moding down to only 3 engines for that precision flight into the tower.
Right now, booster using its 4 hypersonic grid fins to help guide itself through this atmospheric entry back for its precision landing at the launch site. Once again, we're going to ignite first the center 13 engines. We should see that coming up here momentarily.
Engines in startup.
1 engine didn't, but that's fine.
This is going to come down to 3 engines as the booster slows down for its landing. And we just heard the sonic boom.
It's a really aggressive slide, and that's always a nerve to watch, but it seems
what an incredible sight to see the Super Heavy booster gliding down into the chopstick arms once again.
She's been caught. You can see it's been caught with those little support arms there.
Stuck the landing.
Appears to be
wow.
Shifted out of the way. I don't know if that's normal.
That will never get
you can see it
old.
being shifted to the left there, but
all right.
It seems to be.
We saw 12 out of 13 light for that landing burn. Booster still able to make its way with that final precision burn on the 3 engines in for the tower catch. So booster caught. Meanwhile, keeping an eye on ship. Still got 6 Raptors burning. Those are going to continue for about another minute. Until we'll get to the Starship engine cutoff. Really cool view.
You can actually see the
again, a million shout outs to all of our avionics team who make these cameras possible for us. That's looking right down inside essentially the skirt area of ship, where you can see a pretty good view of all 6 Raptors, especially those 3 inner ones, one of which we're going to hopefully relight a little bit later.
That's very not good.
And we just saw some engines go out.
There's a leak.
It looks like we are losing attitude control of the ship.
Damn. It's almost like this is almost exactly what happened last time. That's going for longer than expected. And you think they'd shut down the other 2 engines. Just going so well.
Ship FTS is saved.
Saved.
So we're still getting video down from the ship. You can see we've lost several engines and we've lost attitude control of the vehicle.
Okay, let's pull up flight radar and see what's going on here. I assume that's the methane. You can see that the methane and LOX that got dumped. So the cameras are gone, but we're still getting telemetry.
So we'll continue to stick with it.
Another engine is shut down.
For those of you that just recently joined us, we had a successful liftoff of the 8th test flight of Starship, followed by
The
a
last
successful stage separation. We saw the booster, actually, you can see it just behind us here. The booster had a successful catch back at the tower. Unfortunately, it seems as though we lost the attitude control of the ship. We are standing by as we listen in with the teams on the nets to understand what information we're able to provide you. We will provide that as soon as we are able, but it's pretty incredible to take a moment and see the booster just behind us. Certainly a different view than last time.
And at this point, we've essentially lost contact with the ship. We're no longer receiving telemetry at this moment. So we were only about 20 seconds away or so from the end of that ship ascent burn. We saw several of the engines start to cut out. Once you lose enough of those center engines, you're going to lose attitude control. And so we did see the ship start to go into a spin. And at this point, we have lost contact with the ship. So we're going to listen in for a little bit. I think it's pretty obvious we're not going to continue the rest of the mission today, but just give us a couple more minutes. We'll bring you more information as it comes in.
To quote Mr. Scott Manley, which, if any of you are watching this video, you should know him. So yeah, if anyone is downrange, time to step outside and look for a meteor shower. This happened on the last flight as well. Not this exactly, but they had an engine failure. And it definitely isn't a good sign that that literally on the very next flight you have a very similar issue. Especially when they announced they've done some updates to the systems on the ship. That's really not a good sign. It's also not a good sign that it seems they didn't, to be blunt, they didn't really seem to learn their lesson from the last one. Obviously, this is just an outsider's perspective. I'm not an expert or anything of the like. Which is why, again, all of this is speculation, all of this is my opinion. I'm not saying SpaceX didn't make any changes because it would be stupid to throw the same thing again and to just throw the same thing into orbit again. But it's clear, unless it's a vastly different issue, which, to be fair, I don't know the amount of changes that were made. It's not looking too good because, like, to give them credit, they've gotten decently reliable at catching the first stage. That's been successful the last few times, but well, and again, it's a different story of, oh, the thing gets damaged during re-entry. Okay, that's a thing that can be worked on. That's harder to simulate, but and all the other thing is it is quite hard to figure out what went wrong if the whole thing is coming down in bits over the Gulf. So hopefully something good will come of this.
All right, so coming back with you real quick. So can confirm we did lose contact with the ship. Unfortunately, this happened last time too, so we've got some practice at this now. We've got a lot of measures in place, like debris response areas where we coordinate very closely with air traffic control. We have a lot of measures put before we ever launch a rocket to make sure that we're keeping the public safe. Those worked last time, and they're actively in work right now. So Just to recap real quick, everything we saw, we lifted off right at the top of our window, essentially at 5:30 p.m. Central Time. Booster was able to get us all the way up into space, made its way back here. It's sitting on the tower right behind us, our third ever catch. Starship ignited all 6 of its Raptor engines. It was just about 20 or 30 seconds away. We'll get exact times from the end of its ascent burn when we started to see some engines go out on ship. Eventually lost attitude control and then lost contact with the ship shortly after. So obviously a lot to go through, a lot to dig through. We're going to go right at it. The primary reason we do these flight tests is to learn. We have some more to learn about this vehicle, but we're going to be right back here in the not too distant future, and we're going to get a ship to space.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. We fly to learn, and we're learning a lot. And as is the case with developmental programs such as the Starship program, progress isn't always linear. So at this point, we're going to close out our webcast for the day. But before we do, we'd like to give a shout out to our viewers, of course, as well as our partners, both here in Cameron County and around the world. Now, once we know more about the mission today, we'll provide you with updates on SpaceX.com as well as at SpaceX on X. As always, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.
So the DRAs are in fact in effect. Okay. See you guys next time.